What is up, YouTube? Johnny B here again today, and we're gonna be bringing you another video on the FRS because I have so much things I want to do to this thing. You know, you think you're gonna be done with it after you go wide body, full suspension, turbo, and nope, a lot more things to do, unfortunately. But one thing that I have been dying to do, and I do not want to spend $700 to $800 on buying one, is a splitter. Did you guys know my car already has a splitter? It actually has this splitter right here. It's a Dev Sport splitter. It's been good to me. It was only $100, and it made the car look really nice. And if you guys look at the back side, it's pretty scratched up because my car is low. And then one time, if you notice this little piece right here that's shaved down, the very first day that I ran it, that happened because I wasn't running splitters, splitter rods actually. So I ended up having to buy some splitter rods to be able to hold the front end, because as soon as I got on the freeway going about like 65, 70, the front end of the splitter started dragging, creating, you know, some downforce obviously, and it scraped the ground. And I was actually probably like 4 or 5 inches off the ground at that time, and for it to scrape like that, it was creating quite a bit of downforce. So as soon as I put the splitter rods, problem solved. But I don't like that it's just that, you know what I mean? It's only $100, so I guess you would expect something like that. So what I ended up doing is I went down to a local place that sells a lot of plastic. So it's called Professional Plastics here in Arizona. I have an account with them, and I went to go speak, you know, with some of the guys there, and they ended up getting me this piece right here. This is ABS plastic, so same exact material that this thing is. You know, I've hit this thing, I've parked the car by touching this to the sidewalk. I've had a tire on the freeway when I was going 80 smack into it and didn't damage it. So the ABS plastic is actually pretty strong. So I ended up going with the same material, just a little bit thicker. So this is a 1/4 inch thick and this is 3/8 thick. So what I want to do is a full chassis mounted splitter. So complete. You guys look at this one. So I'm gonna get all of this and just cover the whole front side of the car as much as I can. So I might have to do, you know, a little bit for the tires, a little bit for some shapes of the frame and stuff like that, a little bit of cutouts, some drilling for when I want to bolt it. But it's gonna be a full custom DIY splitter. This was like $100 plus shipping and whatnot. This I actually got a little bit longer. I only needed about 2 feet, as you guys can see. It's 6 feet by 2 feet, and I could have made the full splitter, but I got an extra foot so I can make side skirts for it. So I can have full splitter in the front, and I have side splitters with the same exact material. They're gonna be about 6 inches wide, so that's gonna be giving it, you know, a little bit more aesthetic pleasing, but it's also gonna help, you know, slice through the wind. And if you guys are wondering how much this costed me, it's pretty impressive that this was $100. Obviously, you know, they went through the deal of cutting this and all that, but I spent $107 on this. So it's gonna be a full DIY splitter with, you know, full chassis mounted and all that good stuff. So this is something that you guys can do on any car that you have. This isn't just specific to the FRS. You could just go ahead down to your local plastic place. You know, maybe you have one near you. Maybe there's a Pro Plastics by you. And if not, you know, you can probably order online through them and they can ship it out to you. So let's go ahead and start designing this, chopping this, and, you know, basically getting a full splitter. And for the rods, as you guys know, I love fully torqued racing rods. They're the best thing. I have them on my rear diffuser. I have them already holding up the splitter, but since I'm gonna be chassis mounting it, I'm gonna need a lot more splitter rods to hold all this and bolt it to the chassis. So that way we can try to see if we can stand on this splitter, because this one, you know, you can't stand on it. It's a little bit flimsy and it was bolted to the bumper, so I don't want to damage the bumper. But with this, it's gonna be a lot better. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Okay, so the first thing you want to go ahead and do is find a big piece of cardboard. Look at this. This is a pretty big box. So the measurements that I chose were 6. So it's going to be 6 feet by 2 feet. Okay, so there we go. Here is the cardboard piece we cut out. It's 6 foot by 2 feet, because we're gonna need to set it up with this part of the frame forward. So first thing, we have to go ahead and mock this up. Obviously the edges stick out quite a bit, and then under here we're gonna need to make sure we do a cutout for this piece of the frame. And then here I got some bolts that I'm gonna use. This is where I'm gonna bolt the back side of it too. And then we're probably gonna need to do some cutouts for these tow hooks right here, and then for the way the wheel turns. So now we just gotta go ahead and see how we can make this fit perfectly as far as back as we can without interfering with anything else. So the next thing you need to do is go ahead and mark a center line. So there's my center line. Since this is 6 feet, center line is directly at 3. It's another reason why I did it at 6 feet, just because a lot of the calculations will be a lot more even, easier to compose. So now we're gonna go ahead, line this up to the middle. You can see there's a bolt right there. And then we're gonna go ahead and trace this part of the frame out so we can go ahead and give it a cut so we can start seeing how this is gonna fit. Okay, so right here, I'm cutting out the section for the frame. As you can see, I had already cut it, but it looks like it was a bit too short. So I'm just elongating it, you know, making it a little bit more this way, about 1 inch more. So this is gonna be 3 inches and a quarter, 3 inches and a quarter, and this is about 1 inch from that. Just so we can clear this little piece here, we want to go ahead and make the diffuser around it, because we want this to reach probably around this height, and that's where this will be bolted on here. And then I want it to sit on top of this, so that should be good. So that's the main goal. So after measuring a couple times, found out that I need to elongate this a little bit, just so that this lines up with the bumper ends over here this way. It still seems to be touching on this frame piece right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it to 3 3/4, and then this is obviously gonna be another inch again. So let's go ahead and mark that and go ahead and cut it off. So here are the new lines I need to cut. So let me go ahead and cut those off real quick. So there we go, guys. I bolted it here and here. You can see this has got pretty good clearance, clearing the subframe. Obviously, since my ABS is gonna be a bit thicker, it'll come down a little bit, but overall it should fit. And then looks like the tow hooks, went ahead and ripped them just when I went ahead and put them on, just so I get like a perfect clearance. I could always make that bigger when I do it on the actual piece, but it's going to be marked properly. And let's look at the edges. Look at that, the edge seems to line up really good with the bumper. Lines up really good with my tire, and that's what I wanted. I wanted the splitter to stick out a little bit more than the bumper, but it's going to line up with my tire, so it splits the air right in front of the tire also to help a little bit. So far the splitter is looking really good. Okay, so now that we have the rear mounting points, we know exactly, you know, how it's gonna bolt. It's already all lined up properly. So now we gotta go ahead and design the splitter. Although this looks pretty cool, it's kind of sharp, it's going to be sticking out too much, so we want to go ahead and give it like a nice cut here, cut here. I do want it to stick out pretty far actually, but nothing too crazy. So this is actually going to be pushed up a little bit more. It's just hanging because of those 2 bolts that we went ahead and put on the back, and then the rest of it is going to be being held on with these rods here. These are my rods that I already had in the front. I'm probably going to move these to the back somewhere, and I went ahead and ordered some new ones. These are Ftr rods. If you guys are interested in getting some of these, it's called Fully Torqued Racing, and they make incredibly high quality splitter rods. So this is what I'm going to be using to go ahead and chassis mount this splitter. Alright guys, so here is the design that I decided to go with. There you go, look, rounded the edges just like I said. This is how it's looking so far. As you can see, it's got that same little bulge here as the stock bumper, just to kind of give it like a nice little design. So this part is not flat, it's a bit round, and then this part's flat, again parallel to the bumper. Then the same little round piece right here, and straight back. Now these rods are not going to be mounted to my grill anymore. They're going to be mounted to my bumper support or my reinforcement bar. From there, come out here, get bolted somewhere in this vicinity. Just 2 of them, and there's going to be 2 on the inside holding each of the edges of the splitter, and then obviously the bolts that are mounted directly to the frame right there. And should be pretty heavy duty splitter. I'm gonna go ahead and test out where the splitter rods will go from there. Hopefully I can reach them somewhere near here, because I do like the way that this is shaped. So the splitter rod would actually look really good holding this area. This one's a bit too short, but I did order some custom ones. Okay, so now I went ahead and mounted the rods. So I have this 12-inch rod here, bolts this little piece here on the frame, and it just goes straight down right inside the bumper. So I went ahead and marked lines for where the bumper ends, and that's where I'm putting the rods. That way when I put the bumper on, the rods aren't touching. They're completely concealed. So I tied that one there, and then I tried these 2 to the core support. So these ones are going to be visible. They're going to go through the bumper grill and out, and then these ones are just going to be straight from the edge of the reinforcement bar down. So I just went ahead and took measurements, and then I just did the same thing on the other side. The way I set this one up is so that it wasn't interfering with any of my charge pipes or my oil cooler lines. So that worked out perfect, straight through there. And then I just went ahead and mimicked the other side too. It's being held on by 6 splitter rods and then 2 bolts straight into the frame on the back. So that should be more than enough support. Okay, so next step we're gonna want ahead and do is get your template and then put it right on top of your material. As you can see, here's the material. I went ahead and centered it. So this one I had centered it at 3 feet. Same thing, measure from the end to center. So I went ahead and put another piece of cardboard, because I'm gonna go ahead and cut the plastic now. That way I have some clearance between, you know, what I'm cutting and the concrete. Fortunately, my table that I have is just completely full of stuff, and I'm a little bit limited on space at the moment. With, you know, I have this Rocket Bunny version 2 kit project, and then did a clutch on this thing. I didn't want to buy anything else because I actually ended up buying a special tool that's going to make this look even nicer. So I didn't want to invest in a jigsaw when I have an angle cutter that I can just go ahead and use to cut this off. Fairly simple. So there it is. Now it is cut out. And now to take the cardboard off, sand down the edges to make them nice and smooth. Get the, you know, the required curves that you want to have here, here, and here, because obviously when you cut with a straight edge tool, it's a little bit difficult to get those nice angles or the curves. So gotta go ahead and pretty that up, make it nice and smooth. And then I'm gonna use a special tool that I got just so I can do something nice to add on to the splitter. All right guys, so then after you cut it and you drilled out the holes that you had pre-made already, where you knew you were gonna mount wherever your supporting rods or your splitter rods were gonna go, we're gonna go ahead and mount it. As you can see here, I mounted it. It's a little bit hard to do it with the camera in hand, but got it mounted. So now the next step is to clean up the edges. So the edges are gonna be kind of ugly because of the, you know, with whatever tool you used, they're not gonna be perfect. Obviously there's gonna be some imperfections, so you're gonna wanna go ahead and take some sandpaper, sand them down till they get nice and smooth. So this is the tool that I ended up getting, just a Drill Master 1/4-inch trim router, and it gives us a nice round edge around the plastic, so it's not sharp, it's nice and smooth, and it just looks really good. So let's go ahead and do that to this end. Here's the finished product, guys. I am extremely excited that this thing came out as good as it did, because I had no idea what to expect. You know, it's my first time doing one of these. I did talk with Professional Plastics to figure out what would be the best material for the splitter, and I ended up going with the 3/8 thick, which was the thickest one they had. So I just wanted something that was going to be really firm, really rigid, that was going to be able to handle some abuse and, you know, overall look good. At first, I did think it was too thick. It did look kind of thick, but after I used the router with the roundover bits on both the top and bottom, it just made it look so much better. It doesn't look as thick anymore, and it just has like a nice, smooth feel. So you're not gonna be, you know, cutting yourself on it as I would have if I wouldn't have done this. It is extremely strong. That's mainly the thing that I wanted. And I went ahead and removed the factory plastic piece that goes under here, because with the intercooler, it was pushing it down because the intercooler is a little bit too big, and it was having some issues with the bumper fitment. So I just wanted to go ahead and remove that piece completely. And I ended up mounting my actual oil cooler straight to the splitter. As you can see there, 4 bolts, and then they're underneath. It's plenty strong. Now I have, you know, a lot of space. Like, let's say I want to run a transmission cooler here or on the other side, I'm gonna have space to mount it. I'm not gonna, you know, be afraid of anything here, you know, getting loose over time and just falling off the car. It'll probably just get caught right here. So this is probably one of the easiest mods to do, but it's also the most rewarding. Like, looking at your car, you know, with the bumper off, with this splitter like this, it just looks like a full-on race car, and it's just awesome to see. So there's a lot of different benefits to this. Obviously, they're designed to cut the wind and to, you know, help with downforce in the front. So this is technically like a wing in the rear is, but this is for the front. So this gets you a lot more traction on your front wheels. So, you know, at higher speeds, you'll definitely, you feel it. If you don't have these rods on here in the front, you will most likely see this get pushed down and scrape. Above 65 miles an hour is when I experienced it the first time with the little flimsy splitter that I had. So it's pretty interesting to see how it all came out. So you guys can do this too. You know, it was really cheap. The material itself was $107, and that's because I ordered 6 feet by 3 feet. I only needed 6 by 2, but I want to do something special with the extra foot. So that'll be in a later video. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna connect the new catch can, because you guys know I have this Cusco catch can, but this is supposed to be for my NA setup, and it looks like it's not working for the boosted setup, so I'm gonna need to upgrade it to a vented catch can. And then another thing is, if you want to be working on your car like this, you're also gonna want to get FTR rods, or fully torque racing rods, because they're very high quality. They're very strong, as you can tell. So this way I'm on the lift, and I can be walking around and just, you know, working on the car, and it'll be like if I'm standing on the floor. The splitter is holding up really well. 3/8 inch ABS plastic with FTR rods. I weigh about 180 pounds, so it's doing its job. It's gonna be able to, you know, create that downforce and be able to hold it. So definitely very high quality, you know, custom made, and I was able to do it, you know, for under $100 basically, not including the rods. The rods are a little bit more expensive than you would get, you know, with the Chinese ones, but they're really high quality, so that's why I went with those, and I really like them a lot. So it's gonna be the end of the video, guys. Stay tuned for the next one, where I'm gonna be doing a catch can install, and I'll see you guys later.